Hey everyone, so imagine this. You buy your dream house, right? In a sleepy, older neighborhood called Elmwood Heights. Zero HOA, zero covenants, conditions, and restrictions. You check the title, you check the deed, you pay it off. You're free and clear. And then one morning, some guy you've never met decides he owns you, bans your rescue dogs, and hits you with a $2,000 fine just for existing. I swear it sounds like a bad movie plot, but this was my life. And let me tell you, I was ready to unleash legal hell on these clowns. My wife, Sarah, and I moved into our blue 1960s ranch house years ago. We have two mutts. Bella and Gus, they are like 95% floof and 5% nap schedules. Totally non-aggressive, microchipped, the whole boring, responsible package. When we were house hunting, my one non-negotiable was no. I'd done that dance once, never again. So we made damn sure Elmwood was untouched by that nonsense. Everything was perfect until about 2 months ago. A flyer shows up on the door, printed in what I can only describe as Comic Sans bold, proclaiming that Elmwood Heights had voted to join the adjacent New Developments Association. Let's call it the Stonebridge Shores HOA, and that effective. Immediately, all non-fish or turtle pets were banned for health and safety. And oh, by the way, here's a $2,000 community compliance levy due in 30 days. I laughed, honestly. I thought it was a pathetic joke, probably a scam, and it went straight into the recycling bin. A week later, that laughter dried up. A certified letter arrives, nice letterhead, but still with that weird, aggressive tone. It cites our parcel number, our full names, and informs us we are in violation. Owe the $2,000 levy, plus a $150 initial fine, and if we don't pay up in 10 days, they are putting a lien on our house. Foreclosure was mentioned, and I'm telling you, reading the word foreclosure over Bella and Gus felt like a physical punch. I absolutely knew we weren't in an HOA, but the sheer arrogance and the homework they'd done to pull our records made my stomach drop. I emailed their generic Gmail address, that's all they had, saying politely, I am not a member. My property is not subject to your CCNRs. Stop contacting me. The reply came from a guy who signed off as President Councilman Theron. He claimed our street was annexed by majority vote at the last meeting, and that silence equals consent. He also noted with a creepy kind of detail that he had apparent dogs visible in the yard. This set off every alarm bell I had left. Because annexation doesn't work by sending a flyer and waving your hand, right? You need recorded documents. So I called the county recorder's office, called my old title company, and they both confirmed the Stonebridge Shores CCNRs were recorded against their lots, but our parcel? Clean slate. If it's not recorded against your parcel, it is not binding, the county clerk told me, and that was the little seed of legal courage I needed. I sent the HOA a formal cease and desist letter, certified mail, demanding any future contact be through my address only, warning them that any lien would be pursued as fraudulent. 2 days later, instead of a response, some creep taped a final notice to our front door. It had a blurry, low-res picture of Bella and Gus sniffing the azaleas, with a big orange open violation sticker. Sarah was devastated. She's deeply conflict avoidant, and this crossed a line. I'm usually easygoing, but when someone tries to bully my wife or my dogs, I become a very different person. I went over to the new development, these rows of beige boxes, identical and soulless, and found their meeting sign. I showed up. Councilman. Theron was there, in his boat shoes and polo shirt, smiling like a shark. I introduced myself, calmly stated that I wasn't a member, and demanded to see the annexation documents. His reply, which I will never forget, delivered with a smug little head tilt was, "We don't have to show you anything, sir. If you don't like it, you can sell." That night I called a real property attorney. He told me exactly what I needed to hear. I was right, they were wrong, document everything, and do not pay a single penny. But the letters kept coming, and they booted Sarah's Honda. It was parked on the public street right in front of our house, no signs, nothing. The boot had a number, demanding a $150 release fee. That was the moment. that physical act of vandalism, that I decided to stop talking and start fighting. We called the non-emergency police line. The officer arrived, looked at the boot, looked at the boot guy, and asked, "Is this a public street?" The boot guy, sweating, said, "Yes, but the HOA gave us authority." The officer shook his head, looking completely done with the whole thing, and said, "Then you don't. Remove it now, or I will arrest you for tampering with a vehicle." They scrambled, they left, and I got their company name and a police report. The very next day, a final certified letter arrived. This one was insane. Violations for the dogs, for the non-approved exterior paint. My original blue house. Non-approved. Mailbox. Non-approved trash cans visible on trash day. Landscaping non-conformance. That was my beautiful little tomato patch, mind you. And of course the past due $2,000 levy threatening a formal lien in 15 days. They wanted to play hardball? Fine, we were going to play the law. I retained the attorney, Mr. Sterling, immediately. He sent a letter on his professional letterhead, laying out the law of the land, warning them that any lien would trigger the state's wrongful lien statute, which meant paying our attorney fees and statutory damages. We also filed complaints simultaneously with the State Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division, the city, about the boot company, and the real estate department, targeting the management company's license. I even emailed our city council member with the police report. I was not just fighting for myself, I was fighting to shut this operation down. The board's response on day 9 was terse, signed by the secretary, not Theron. "We disagree with your assertions. We will record liens on non-compliant properties and your clients can pay or they can sell." Still no documents, still no proof. Mr. Sterling just smiled and said, "They're bluffing," but he sent a final, forceful letter with a draft of our impending court complaint attached. Then, on day 12, I got the alert I'd set up with the county recorder. My heart sank, then rocketed when I opened the PDF. They actually did it. A notice of assessment lien for $2,200, signed by Theron, notarized by the management company. Game on. We filed suit that very afternoon, a complaint for quiet title to remove the LIEN, slander of title, and an emergency motion for a temporary restraining order. We had the evidence, my clean deed, the police report for the boot, the HOA's own ridiculous Turtle Rule website screenshots. The judge granted the TRO that day, freezing their ability to file anything else. At the hearing a week later, the HOA's lawyer looked like she'd drawn the short straw. She tried to argue that their internal minutes gave them the power to expand. Mr. Sterling simply cited case law. Their CC&Rs only bind the lots within their recorded plat. You cannot drag in unrelated parcels without consent and a recorded instrument. The judge was not impressed. He leaned over, looked at the HOA's counsel, and asked the golden question. "Do you have a recorded amendment annexing this parcel?" "No." "Do you have the consent of this property owner?" "No, that's not how property works." The TRO was converted to a preliminary injunction. Remove the lien by close of business in 5 days. Theron, sitting in the back, turned beet red. Now here's where the malice paid off. Remember how Theron said all communications must go through the board? That meant, thanks to our lawsuit and the AG's separate investigation, they had to preserve everything. When we subpoenaed the documents, we found the explosive truth. The annexation was literally just a vote among the board members to invite adjacent streets, and when a few scared people paid, they declared it approved. They never recorded anything because they knew they couldn't. The emails were gold. Theron bragging, "We will scare them with liens. Most will pay rather than fight." Another from the management COO instructing, "We can boot cars near the new model homes to show that we mean business," even though they knew the street was public. The pet ban? One board member's kid had an allergy and a dog barked once. No legal basis, just petty tyranny. We amended the complaint, adding the management company as a defendant. I found 8 neighbors who'd gotten the same letter. 3 had paid, including a retired schoolteacher who cried when she signed the retainer. That lit a fire under me. When Theron tried to settle, offering to remove my lien if I dropped the suit and signed an NDA, we declined. We wanted justice for everyone. The final fatal blow came during mediation. The AG was there, we were there. The mediator was a no-nonsense retired judge. My attorney introduced the two newest emails, fresh from discovery. Theron admitting he recorded the lien personally to show strength, and the management COO telling him they could just cut and paste from another HOA's form and swap the track number. Nobody will check. They literally committed title fraud. The AG laid out her terms. A consent judgment with a $10,000 penalty per future violation, full restitution to all non-members who paid, penalties to the state, and a demand that Theron be barred from serving on any HOA board for 5 years. My attorney added our terms, attorney fees, damages, and the $25,000 donation to the local animal shelter. The perfect poetic justice for the fish-turtle rule. The developer, whose reputation was now in tatters, intervened. They pressured the AB board to accept the terms, even offering to fund a maintenance district if the HOA dissolved. 2 days later, they caved. We got everything. The injunction, the restitution checks with interest. The retired teacher's check made us both tear up. The board resignations. The management company terminated and investigated. The public apology letter emailed to everyone. They harassed, and finally, the dissolution vote. The former board president tried to argue at the final meeting, saying the neighborhood would descend into chaos. Someone from the crowd shouted, "Chaos is better than you." The vote wasn't even close. The Stonebridge Shores HOA, the terror of Elmwood Heights, was officially dissolved. The lien was removed that day. The boot company paid Sarah $150, and I hear Theron put his boat shoes up for sale. It was a nightmare, but in the end, we didn't just win. We leveraged the law to erase the bullies completely. And now the beige boxes can finally plant their damn tomato plants. So that's the whole crazy saga. I went from laughing at a flyer to dissolving an entire neighborhood association. What I want to know from you guys is this. When someone tries to bully you using a flawed system, do you think it's better to just pay the $2,000 to make them go away? Or is it a moral imperative to fight them to the ground, even if it costs you time and sanity? Let me know in the comments below what you would have done in my shoes, and hit that like button if you think Bella and Gus deserve a year's supply of treats.